All right, we are here with the 14th episode of the
Let's Go podcast. We got a fun one. We got the champs, King Ventures, the new kings, no pun intended, of the HSL. The Bombers have forever been on top of the HSL world, but no longer. King Ventures steps in their inaugural season, taking a huge step forward in not only themselves, but also for the HSL, showing the Bombers that they're not going to just step into the spring HSL league and win the championship every year anymore. Before we get into things, we want to start by thanking our league sponsor, Evo Care Group, who sponsored us before we had anything. And now look how amazingly big we are, getting all these hundreds of views on our podcasts and all these different leagues and our full registration and getting shout-outs on the MSL broadcasting, which we'll get into a little later as well. Thank you, Evo Care Group, for everything they do for us. Dave, take it away.
Yes, and thank you to Mr. Raice and Mr. Archie Eichorn of King Ventures for joining us today. So, Avi, I know that you were there yesterday and have a lot of probably commentary on the game, but since we have the champs in the house, let's get their take on the epic three-game series and what their thoughts are on all the controversies, all the hitting, all the pitching. Why don't we start? Who should we start with? Who's older, Archie or Ellie?
Excuse me.
I was trying to pay you a compliment, Archie.
Why don't you guys guess? Why don't you guys first guess how old David Gottlieb is?
Ooh.
Come on, you can take a guess.
Guess how old David Gottlieb is. I'm going to say he looks younger than he is, so I'm going to go with like 44.
Wow.
Though, I'm only saying that because it's probably a trick question, even though I think he looks like my age. It's funny. He just looks like a little bit more of a rounder version of Yanky Itzkowitz.
Really?
It's not a bad call.
Not a bad call.
It's not a bad call at all.
How old are you,
36, though, I
Archie?
think.
36. So, Dave, these crazy. Dave, how old are you? 37.
I'm 37. Yeah.
Okay.
When I met Dave, I thought he was like 23 or
Right.
24. This is 5 years ago, but he looks. No, maybe I'm
I
crazy.
agree. It's a good call.
I'm losing more hair now, so it's.
I went a little nuts because I thought the trick question, so I went a little. Too
Archie,
crazy
how old
with
are
it.
you?
I'm 33.
33.
But
okay.
But my mileage, I got a lot more. My mileage is a body of a 55-year-old.
Not the way you played the last two Sundays, though.
Yeah, listen. Actually, probably the way I played the last two Sundays. The mileage showed.
Archie had a big hit last game, game 3.
And
Yeah.
Big RBI got them on the board.
Yeah, yesterday was a tough game. I actually listen, for a guy that somehow is always playing with injuries. It was my worst one. I rolled over my ankle on Friday playing tennis. And as of Friday night, I said to myself, I'm not playing. I couldn't stand on my foot. Iced it for like 24 hours. Advil. Motzei Shabbos, I actually privately texted Menachem, I'm out. There's no way I'm playing. I cannot stand on my foot. But then the junkie, the adrenaline, there's no way I'm missing the game. So for just popped 4 Advil in the morning, bought a brace on the way to the game, and strapped up. And I think I came in, I literally put on my cleats, and my first at-bat was like 30 seconds later.
Sunday morning? Where'd you get a brace Sunday morning at 8 a.m.?
You got to pick up. You got to know your 24-hour CVSs. Guys like me know these things.
See, it's a good thing I wasn't aware of this ankle situation because I would have had a panic attack on. On Saturday night. I would have. I didn't want another King Ventures showing up, nine guys to championship game 3.
Right.
Then the Titan League might have been done forever.
No,
Ellie, how about you? Have your Sunday morning go.
It was pretty smooth. Muncie Carpool rolled in right in time. No traffic, Smooth sailing. It's pretty good.
Ellie, you could give him a shout out. You don't have to call it a Muncie Carpool. You could give your.
Yitzi
boyfriend,
Rosen? Yitzi Rosen, obviously, he's a great. But, the Muncie Carpool varies, Grossman sometimes comes through, hits grand slams, and,
Yeah.
So let me touch on actually. I give props to Ellie and Yitzi Rosen because I think the first game of the season it was minus 10 degrees, and it was freezing. And the first game was around the corner from my house, and I didn't even want to show up. I think I showed up late, which that was pretty on time for me that day. And I told Ellie and Yitzi Rose, and when I was so shocked to see them, what are you guys doing here? What are you guys playing in a garbage league that's not even for your talent? But respect to the league, Avi and whoever else runs it. You guys put together a pretty awesome season. Revamped this league, and like I told you guys before, the history of this was I swore off this league because of they made us play a game Erev Rosh Hashanah, a championship game that should have been played, I think, like literally 9 weeks before that, and we lost the game. We actually blew a big lead, if I recall. We're like in the ninth inning, it was a bad loss, so that might have also that definitely didn't help the temper. But I said I'll never forget. I called Ariel, I called Rada. We said I'm never playing in this game. Our team is never playing. Our team did not join the league for at least probably been 5 years. Rada used to always text me year in year out. You want to join our team? You want to play for this team? Want to play? No. And then this year, when I heard Avi actually took over the league, I said, okay, officially that takana, my nether, it's over. My promise is over, and we joined the league. I told Raice, I still don't understand what you're doing here. This is around the corner for us. Turned out to be a great season, and honestly, just a great slow roll when we showed up with 6 players when we played the Bombers, made them feel good about themselves, that they actually scored a couple runs off of us. And then, we
Archie,
even a better slow roll on the championship.
You don't need to keep trash talking. You won. You have the hardware.
Yeah, but come on,
it doesn't end.
You have to have class. You only trash talk once you have the hardware.
So I'm doing a little research over here. I have Ariel Cohen on my speed dial. It seems like the team you were on was the Smash Brothers.
Yes. Dan Braun, they ran the team. I don't remember the team name.
Oh,
yes.
Is that why Benji named his team Smash Brothers this year?
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Ooh, history.
So you swore off the Hillcrest Softball League, and then who comes calling in February or January or March to get you back to join?
So it was sadly Menachem Diamondstein, I think, called me in October. I think before the ink was dry and Avi Edelman taking this over, and says we're building a team, and I was like, okay, so call me in the summertime. No, it's spring. Okay, call me after Pesach. No, there's like 3 games before Pesach. Okay, put me on the roster. Add me to the chat. No problem. There's no way. I don't know if I think I told the Yaakov Weiss in the car when I got the text. I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to play in this game. There is no way. And then, the Junkie and me ended up playing. Menachem recruited a pretty good team. And, and
I would say pretty good is an understatement. No, I mean, Menachem doesn't play in pretty good teams. Menachem plays on the star-studded teams.
Listen, he's a GM more than a pitcher.
So did you know Mr. Raice before this team? You know him from other places? Because he's from Muncie, you said, right?
Yeah, so typically people from Muncie, I consider Muncie an attic. You don't want to go up there. You want to know what's up there. We try to stay away from Muncie people, But to Eli Raice's credit, we were zeicher to play together from Menachem's doing his recruiting. We played together last year in 2 tournaments. And honestly, I was pretty much like steps away from just calling it quits, being that I'm a fraction of myself as a baseball player. And I think Eli Raice, with a couple other guys and those tournaments, rejuvenated the Junkie and me to continue playing baseball.
Archie and Ellie, Archie and Ellie are on the Menachem Diamonds team built tournament teams who won the last.
It's the dynasty, the core dynasty that we have going.
Yeah,
right.
Undefeated.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. I'm saying
when we show up, we're undefeated.
Well, I did beat Menachem in the first
Mr. Archie, I did find the game in question. You lost to the Robins. Is it possible you lost 13-3 on Erev Rosh Hashanah?
Oh, could be. Maybe. I don't remember. I don't recall. I just don't remember the game.
2018.
Yeah, maybe that. Okay, there you go. 5-6 years ago. Yeah, 6 years. Yeah. So
Diamondstein was the shotgun between you two guys, or you knew each other even before the RSK?
No. We didn't. I spelled it out. We didn't care for Muncie people. But then Eli Raice brings something different to the game. The guy, what I call, the term I use, he brings the ruckus. That's the term I use. And he's a game changer player, and he brings the energy. And a lot of us do not have the energy like we used to, and he brings it out of us, and he's fun to play with. I'm not going to compliment him on his talents. I do not want to do that. I hate doing that to him. So we're just going to say he brings the energy.
He brings the ruckus. So, Ellie, tell us about bringing the ruckus. You had some big hits over the last 3 games, right?
I mean, it felt like it. I don't know. I mean, it was more.
Ellie's being very
folks.
humble right now. Ellie was going on and on about how how comfortable he felt at the plate, and he backed it up. He did back it up. Ellie, tell us a little about the matchup versus Steve Pollen over the last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than going against a guy who does not give in, and you're going to get stuff. It's going to be all around the zone, and it's going to be, firm, and that's what you want. It's just good action, just good to see the best, play against the best. I mean, it was good. After the season of basically rolling through teams, it was fun to, to see the other side of the other team that we, yeah.
So it doesn't sound like you felt like you had much competition all year until you got to the Bombers.
For the most part, that's what it felt like. I mean, I didn't play every single game, but I played against most of the teams.
What's interesting is, that maybe there's a new sheriff in town. Something about the Bombers is they're kind of, they'll talk, they're sort of, they go about their business kind of methodically. I guess they do trash talk a little bit of it. They were taking.
They're pretty loud. I was surprised how loud they were.
At
they
the
were
games
loud yesterday.
They're very into it.
I mean, they were from not even yesterday, just like from coming into the series. We hadn't encountered a team that was like loud like them,
Don't underestimate their competitiveness, my friends. Do not underestimate.
I don't underestimate
some
anybody.
Some of us may be quiet at the games. Some of us might be louder at the games. But let me tell you something there. They may not say it out loud, but when they looked at some of us on the other side of that bench, another bullpen, another dugout, they said to themselves, guys, we must win this game. And no offense, I said the exact same thing to our team. Trust me, these are guys you do not want to lose to. They will remember this 12 years from now, and they will bring it up to you. So let's win this. And
Archie,
now, Donnie Perlman and Shia Weiss, you will hear about this game from me for years to come. Im Yirtzeh Hashem, no matter what happens for the rest of our careers.
Love it.
So yeah, go ahead, Avi. Sorry.
I wanted to say 2 things. I wanted to go back to first what Ellie Raice was saying. A little bit insulting how on the HSL Let's Go podcast, he's saying there was no competition other than the Bombers. When one of the podcast and HSL commissioners had a team himself in the Titan League. So apparently Ellie views us as water. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we showed up without our best 3 players against them. And Archie's like, oh, here we go again. No excuses.
I don't know, Edelman. I mean, how many runs did you guys score against us all year? We played you 3 times. You guys scored, I think, 5 runs total. Maybe 4?
Yeah, but they were missing players. Come on.
I'm saying the run differential is 24 to 4. I mean, I don't know.
Listen, it was a 2-0 game in the 5th inning of the semifinals until
the Gold Glovers put up a good game against us over there in Queens, I think it was.
The Gold Glovers made the semifinals as well, by the way, and then got shut out by the Bombers. The Bombers and the King Ventures both had shutouts in the semifinals. I think 6-0 and 7-0, something like that. Maybe 6-0 and 8-0.
You said the Gold Glovers did put up runs off of you?
No, the Gold Glovers were all right. They were cute. They were good.
They're cute. Okay. So Archie, speaking of the competitiveness and the winning, Avi caught a very cute video. I shouldn't say cute. He caught a very menacing video of the King Ventures squad in the dugout, maybe before the 6th inning. Everybody huddled together and said something like "win," something 1, 2, 3, win, something like that. Who pulled that circle together?
Dave. You missed the first 20 seconds of that video when Ellie Raice was cursing me out for videoing it. He didn't want any videos going on.
Yeah.
No, I
had to cut that for the camera.
So another thing you can never forget about is people's superstitions. Never forget about them. People have a lot of different ones. So funny thing is I think actually Menachem, as I'm on the way, I was playing third base, so I'm closest to the dugout, and I'm walking in first, and he says to me, Archie, we need a huddle. Remember the way we did in the tournaments? You'd always tell me huddle, huddle. And going back to that, and we actually had a huddle. I remember we were losing to actually Avi in the championship game of RSK. And I think I just gave it basically pep talk is that we guys, let's huddle up. We cannot lose this game to LD Siegel. As simple as that, guys. And I think we went on to score like 10 straight consecutive unanswered runs or something like that. So once in a while, these huddles work. And I think the simple words was, guys, let's just win. So we just said on 3, win. So Menachem comes over to me and says, Archie, we need that huddle again. It worked last time. Let's do it again. So just a simple huddle. He says win on 3. That's all he wanted. Just a huddle of win on 3. So I was like, okay. So we just gave the little pep talk for about 20, 30 seconds and said, hey guys, this is a big moment. Let's all clutch up. We all want these moments. What do we play for at this age, at this point? If you're not playing for a moment like this, let's win this game. And then win on 3. And then, hey, the gods were with you.
It took an inning and a half. But it definitely did work because I think the Bombers ended up scoring in the bottom 6.
They did.
And then,
they did.
And in the top 7th.
Yeah.
It's so funny. The RSK, speaking of the tournament last year, we got blown out so bad. I totally forgot. You're right. We were up 1-0 in the second inning, almost positive. The third inning. I think you guys went the first 2 innings. You guys went 6 up, 6 down. Highlighted by Raice ground. They got the second base to start the game. So I'm pretty sure. But it's crazy how I think
wasn't
we
a
lost.
grounder.
I don't know, 15. It was a grounder.
I may be forgetting. But I think you guys, if I recall correctly, were up like 3-1 or something like that. Does that make sense?
No, we never up by 2.
You weren't?
I think we were up 1-0, and then like 2-1 going to the 4th.
Maybe something like that. I remember at one point I'll never forget it. It was a very big moment. I think we were up like 6-2 or 6-3 or something like that. And I'll never forget, Dweck came up to bat, Avi, with like bases loaded. And I was like, oh my goodness, the last guy you want up to bat with bases loaded.
It was worse than that.
The guy's a hitting machine.
The night
as it gets. He's a bat to ball almost every single at bat. He puts a barrel on the ball. So to me, I was like, Shrek, let's how we get out of this. And I'll never forget, he actually hit a rocket. But Yankee is what's sitting in a gap because that's who he is. He knows the game of baseball well, gets a good read on plays. Did it again yesterday. Was right there to rob him. I'll never forget. I don't think your team ever recovered from that at bat. We got out of it. At the end. I think then obviously you're probably tired from the rest of the tournament. Then we tacked on a bunch of runs.
Yeah, I think quickly we were up 1-0. You guys went up 2-1. Then we tied it at 2, and then I think you guys were up 6-2 in the 4th. And we had bases loaded, nobody out, and we didn't score. And that was it. And I think you guys scored like 7 runs in the 5th. And then I pulled myself in the 6th, and my wife had a kid 21 hours later.
Maybe excuses.
9?
What happened?
Listen, Ellie, that's no excuse. Ellie, you can attest to this. A few weeks ago, my wife had the baby. 5 p.m. I was playing 8 p.m. at the game.
Facts.
And that was a regular season game.
That's true. Yeah,
with
Archie
the
did play
hospital band on the arm still.
Correct.
Going back later.
That was just because I originally backed out of the game. I needed proof to Shia Weiss, who always questions me why I'm canceling on games. So I had to wear the band to show him proof. Even then, he scanned the barcode to make sure it was real.
He scanned the barcode.
Wait, so speaking of Yankee Itzkowitz, that was a vital play in that game. What in the world is Yankee doing there? Because I was hearing a lot of chirps from the Bombers saying that Yankee should never have been where he was in left center field. But worked out. It was right at him and a nice leaping catch. Is that Yankee does that on his own, or there's somebody positioning him? What's going on over there?
Yankee does whatever he wants.
Yes, Ellie's pretty much right. Listen, it's 2 things. One is, if the Bombers are not chirping, you know something's not right. They're not healthy. There's something's off. They're chirping. They live to chirp. They're more chirpers than actual baseball players. No, I'm joking. Actually, maybe I'm not joking there. But and on the
Archie, I can't laugh too much at these jokes. I'm trying to keep a good relationship with the Bombers.
They all jokes aside, I respect every single one of them. These guys are all veterans who have won many games and many championships. So they're a great team. I'm not going to take anything away from them. That's all a joke. A little ribbing doesn't hurt once in a while. But Yankee, he's a baseball player, and you can't teach fundamentals. People just either you have it from the start and you catch on quickly as a kid and as you grow into a softball player. He has it. What could I say? I played with him for Yankee now. It's probably been close to 15 years we played together and consistently played together. Not just like, we played years ago together. We've consistently played. And yes, he may not be the exact same player he was at that time because he was younger and faster and more athletic. But man, he always had a knack for the game and where to be. So that's just him roaming, understanding where the ball may go or where there's a gap that my fielders can't cover. Because, hey, if it's hit high up, hey, I trust my fielders behind me to cover that gap and get that ball. So, yes, many plays. I think it was early in the game, big moments. Shuey hits a line, Shuey Hoffman, fights off actually literally probably one of the fastest softball pitches I've ever witnessed. Kaufman just blow it in there, fights it off, muscles it out into the outfield. A beautiful line drive from even though he got jammed, and Yankee Iskowitz leaps in there and makes a catch because he's right there. It's just
I think
who
it was
he is.
2 on, 2 out, third inning, down 1-0. I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
yeah. That's
Who hit it?
and you saw later in
Chewy.
the game as well with Yankee. That's who he is as a baseball player, and we've learned a lot over the years from each other, teaching the game.
Yeah. I don't know how many runs did Yossi Kaufman give up in the end. I mean, he doesn't get enough credit here. I mean, he
doesn't.
dominated.
He gave up three runs. He gave 3. What was it? What you guys went 5-3 or 5-3 in game 2, and then 3-2 in game.
But he
3.
took over in the middle of game 1.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. And
Yeah, he took over in the middle of game 1.
Shut him down.
And let's be honest, I speak to myself. I made an error that costed 2 runs. So out of those 4 or 5 runs that he gave, out of those 4 or 5 runs that he gave up, half of them were unearned.
That's true.
Archie, what
plays
position
third
do you
base.
play?
I played third base.
You're third base.
Let the record show, if you want to dig deep a little bit, I actually used to be a pitcher many years ago. In Israel, I retired because Yankee Iskowitz beat me in the championship. I carried a team called the Tarpons. People called us the Tampons at the time because we were like a soft, Flatbush Brooklyn team that just recruited me to join them. I carried them to the championship. I got mumps on Friday. I'll never forget it. I got the mumps. I don't even know where it came from. It was going around in Israel at the time. I sort of recovered. I went to Netanya for Shabbos. I got mumps during the week. Friday, I was feeling better. We went to Netanya for Shabbos. Got wasted. I told, and suddenly they pushed the game to Motzei Shabbos instead of Sunday night. David Hertzka, I think, chartered a bus, a taxi to fly me into the game. I was half wasted, half on mumps, and we played the game. We actually got to Schmetter, unfortunately. He destroyed us. It was a lesson learned, and I think I just took one of those Kevin Durant things. You can't beat him, join him, and then Yankee basically recruited me onto their team because it was 3/4 Canadian, Toronto guys. I actually was very insulted, chip on my shoulder. I wasn't on that team. And then I took over that team, and then we went on to win 3 consecutive championships. So, yes, speaking as a pitcher, I used to pitch, went to first base when I came to the 5 towns because actually Yankee Iskowitz and Gershon Yakubovich's call when I played for them in Israel. They said, Archie, you're a better hitter than a pitcher. Just focus on hitting. Play first base and hit. And that's what I did. I played first base for the first few seasons here. And then over the last few years, I just switched over to third base.
We've heard on one of the recent podcasts, I don't know who it was. It might have been Glenn Zuckerman, actually, who really complimented you on your
Which, by the way, we'll get into very shortly, as we have somebody sitting here on this podcast who feels he might have had the batting title stolen from him. We'll get into it. Continue.
One thing I've been trying to train Ellie here is nobody cares about stats. No one remembers stats.
Facts.
Can you? When they talk about MJ, do they talk about his stats? They talk about his 6 championships. That's all they talk about. They want to know what you won. No one cares about this, that. This is why I hate stats. Do not keep it. Although, if we are counting stats, there was a year in Crown Heights baseball that I did hit 850. So for all you batting title chevra, remember, I didn't get out that year. And I beat Yankees' so-called super team. Yankee Iskowitz had a super team, and we beat them in the championship.
Did you actually hit 850?
Yeah.
You know, it's something I've been intrigued about. I've been talking to Glenn about. There has to be a maximum batting average. It's impossible to hit 1,000. There's no way. So I've kind of been trying to figure out what's the maximum batting average somebody could have, and 850 is pretty.
But to be fair, the pitchers, there was a pretty good league. The pitchers weren't elite pitchers, so
Right.
they wasn't anything.
I think what Dave's saying, if let's say, for example, Glenn Zuckerman, right? So he batted 670 this year. What was it exactly?
678.
Would Glenn have batted tremendously higher in the Legacy League against weaker pitching?
Probably.
Would he bat at 800?
I think.
750.
By the way, guys, what you're watching and what you're seeing in a guy like Glenn is something to see, and it should not be taken for granted. It should not be taken lightly. The guy's one of the older players in the league, and he's still the hardest out in baseball. It's it's not even normal. It's the guy just comes up there with a game plan, with confidence. I see it in his eyes. He's just every pitch. Okay, let me scout the fielders. Where did they just move to? I see Archie shifted a little to the hole. Boom, he hits a rocket down the line. it's guys like he's still the hardest out in baseball. It's so impressive to watch. It reminds me a little bit of like when I came to the league, and I remember playing Svi Weil, and Svi Weil was probably, I think Svi, I know his age, I don't want to call him out on it, it's probably 54, 55. Svi Weil was, you're not going back a long time, but guy was already 45, 48 years old. He was the scariest at bat. If there was men in scoring position, he was up. You're like, damn, the last guy you want up. And I used to play first base, and he was a lefty. The shots, that was the hot corner for him. Glenn still brings that until today. You watch him, and it's like,
all right, Archie.
It's impressive.
You're getting into good topics. I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and you have 1 second to answer.
Dave, before that, I just want to clarify what I was saying before. Just a little bit of history. Ellie Raice had a phenomenal hitting season as well. I think, Ellie, would you finish top 3 or top 5 in batting average?
Yeah, somewhere close to the top.
So Glenn got to face, unfortunately, listen, we're very honest here at the HSL. Unfortunately, there are a couple teams in the Titan League that didn't work out too well. So Glenn got to face a couple of those teams early on in the season, and I think I did check, Ellie. I think I checked. I think he went 6 for 8 against.
Still can't take that for granted. So, you can't take it for granted. You play pitchers that can lob it. You can still get under it and just turn.
That's true.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's why I'm not even sure there's a guarantee that somebody like Glenn hits 120 points higher in the Legacy League. Just, sometimes he'll hit a ball.
So
okay, but Archie, are you ready?
Yeah. Who's
the best hitter on King Ventures?
Who's the best
hitter on King Ventures?
Me. Next.
Who's the worst hitter on King Ventures?
Is that a 1 second answer, or I got to really dig deep on this one?
I wanted to get your gut instinct.
My gut instinct? Well, that's a tough one.
It's
a tough one. I have no problem throwing shade at my own teammates.
I noticed.
Who's on my team again?
Well, let's go through the lineup, shall we? Should we go through the lineup for the championship game? Maybe you could.
Wait, Avi, wait. Okay, we'll skip that question for a second.
I would have told you Kaufman, but he turned into one of our best hitters, so I don't even know anymore.
I'm just batted 5.
Yeah,
he batted 5 and came through the championships.
And every guy can hit. So who am I kidding? Every guy can hit. There's no worst hitter there. I don't know.
Who's the best hitter on the Bombers?
Adam Hoffman. To me, I love Glenn, and I'll compliment him all day because he fears me when I'm in the field. Like, oh, Shrek, he's up. He's a hard out. But Adam, at the end of the day, still brings fear into pitchers. I know it. I can speak for it. And he's just such a dangerous hitter. He hits the ball so hard. And I used to take very big pride in that. That one thing about me throughout my career is I hit the ball hard on a barrel for most of my career, and I was a hard out. If I'm going to get out, it's going to be a hard out. Adam's like that. It's very rare to get him out and roll over on a pitch. The guy barrels everything. People don't even understand the pop that he has in his bat. He's just such a great hitter. He is.
Kaufman,
and I played a lot with him on his team and against him, so I know.
Kaufman or Pollen, who's pitching your All-Star game?
So this is a very controversial question, and I actually thought this was going to come up. I thought this was going to come up, and I'm going to really break into this one. And Ellie, you can also throw in some comments. Kaufman's my boy. Okay, I played with Yossi when he was not polished yet. So
he trained under Ariel Cohen for about 10 years.
Yes. And
Ellie, I don't know if you knew this, but Yossi Kaufman was the secondary pitcher on the Robins for many years.
Yes, he was. And Yossi always he played with us in the Hitmen, and he was still raw. He had the talent, but he would have more balls in his arm. And these days to watch him, I actually look like he's blossomed to one of the best, if not the best, because he doesn't have balls in his arm anymore. He throws strikes, and he learned how to pitch. And also, as a third baseman, many guys that know that play with me, I comment a lot to pitchers. I try to read the batter situation a lot of how they're looking, what they're looking for. And I'll say, Kaufman, this time you throw the changeup. And he listens. Not a lot of guys listen. Menachem, hear me out. Listen to me. I know my stuff. I told
Wait,
this
how
to
are you
Kaufman.
signaling that from third base? That's a long distance.
I'll whisper just a quick thing in their ear. Anyone that knows that plays
Archie's the
GOOO all
king
the
of
time.
talking at a decibel that only 10 feet around him can hear.
Yeah.
He's
And he
mastered.
listens.
Yossi
And
Kaplan
even
was
if-
working on his pitching. Archie was
He-
working on his decibel levels.
Yeah, even if the batter hears, it's all about execution at the end of the day. And if batter thinks a changeup, but then the changeup comes after he threw an 80-mile-an-hour bullet, and the guy has to lunge for the pitch, and he falls for it, he pops up. You got to execute. So Kaufman does that. To Steve's credit, I think Steve pitched such a hell of a game yesterday, and the whole championship, game 1, game 2, the guy had bullets in his arm, throwing strike after strike. He doesn't get the credit because like sometimes his team just tends to let him down. I don't know what it is with him, but yesterday he pitched such a gem of a game, and it was like we kept saying to the guys, he can get tired, he'll throw arms, he'll throw balls, he won't give in. He threw strike after strike after strike. He had bases loaded at the end of the game, 2 outs. That's pressure. The guy that doesn't give in, he got 0-2 on Ari that quickly.
Yeah.
The guy was throwing strike after strike, and in my opinion, I'm not throwing shade at anyone, he got the third out. That was a ground ball that, to me, if I was a third baseman, I'd take 2 steps back, I pick it up in the glove, touch third base, game over. Fife took a bad read. Fife's, by the way, the most sure-handed infielder I've ever played with. Very sure-handed guy. If it's routine, it's automatic. I usually just pick up my glove. I know you're out already. It's over. And whatever, the ball I saw bounced up a little bit on
Hit
him.
one of those
and ate him
West
up a little
Hempstead
bit.
rocks.
Whatever. Point is,
What do you say? What do you say,
Steve's a
Ellie?
great pitcher. I'm getting off
Hit one of
topic.
those West
Steve's a
Hempstead
great
rocks, you know? There was a
Yeah.
lot of them out there.
Steve's a great pitcher. I would take any of them with me in a final game, but I've now won a couple times with Yossi, and I've grew with him, and I'll take Yossi. He's my boy all day.
All
Luckily,
right.
we got both of them.
Yeah.
Ellie.
Yeah.
Ellie, who's the best hitter on King Ventures?
Best hitter? I don't know. At any point, anyone could be the best hitter.
Oh, what a politically
Valid.
correct answer. That's
It's
not
valid.
acceptable.
It's valid.
I mean,
No, I
guys
don't
like
accept
Ezzy
that.
Unger who killed Edelman in the semis, and then, come on. We got everybody.
You should know, by the way, as younger, I've never seen the guy, and I love him. He's a great hitter. I've never seen him hit it down the left field line in my life. Like left center and right center all day. When does he ever hit the ball down? And never
Against
mind the amount of
Edelman.
power you hit it with.
Against Edelman. It looked like
Where
Avi,
did
Archie's
you
have
shot
that-
in the
Avi,
championship
you have
game.
that skill. You can make players turn into A-Rod very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Ellie,
As
you're
younger,
Dave,
is
Dave, a
still
little bit of
questioning
context. A little
what
bit of
happened.
context.
He's still in shock himself after that hit.
Dave, a little context. Archie, when Archie says the words I could turn people into A-Rod, he's not only talking about as younger, he's sort of talking about himself. Because Archie, to not harp too much on it, but in the RSK tournament, Archie didn't treat me too well in the championship.
It was like a lucky day. It was actually. Let's go on the RSK tournament for 1 second, and it's not talked about enough. This is why I don't like morning games. I tell this to everyone. It's not fair. I'm not fed yet. Okay, this happens every time. Ellie can attest. We played RSK the first 2 games. I didn't eat yet 'cause I'm trying to play on a light
I was
stomach, which
questioning
doesn't
the
really
whole
exist.
team.
And Ellie's like, this guy's supposed to be our floor hitter. This doesn't look good at all. And I'm like, guys, I haven't eaten yet. I'm telling you. Anyways, we play our first 2 games. I don't think I got on base. I got walked twice or something the first 2 games. That's it. Otherwise, a couple flyouts, this, that, whatever it is. Then we go to RSK. We ate. I think there was no breakfast for me. We had hot dogs, and the whole team screaming at me, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Eating this stuff?" I'm like, just trust me. It's a process. You have to understand. And I think Blaine Hart, I don't think I got out the rest of the day. So it worked.
It did work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Ellie,
good stuff.
Ellie, if you're constructing a squad, do you take Daniel Ash or Yossi Kaufman, pitcher?
Now,
Ooh.
Ellie plays on Ash's team Monday nights, by the way. So this
Oh,
is
I
getting a
didn't
little
know that.
I do. So this is tough. I mean, well, on Ash's team, I play left field. I mean, Ash can attest to this. The left fielder on his team does not get many plays. But
True.
Kaufman, he
True.
makes what makes Kaufman so great is that you think you have your pitch, you think you're going to drive that pitch, and then you just don't hit it off the barrel, and it just weakly floats to wherever. Like you think you got it, it just fly ball left, fly ball to right, whatever. and it's just
Listen, we love Ash, but we shouldn't be talking about him. We shouldn't be talking about him on the chat. He left on this podcast. He left our chat. He's not. We're not talking about him anymore.
Listen, I hate to say it. I highly doubt Ash will ever be watching this. But yeah, Ash had a fallout, unfortunately.
Don't
in the
underestimate
last
him.
semifinal game.
He watches.
You're saying you never know. You never know.
He's underrated, the biggest baseball junkie in the world. He tries to downplay it, but I like to play some golf.
Don't get that vibe
That's
from
my
him.
sport. I play ice hockey. Stop. Embrace it. You're a great pitcher. You love baseball. You're a junkie for it. You got insulted when you didn't pitch a game too. You love it, just like all of us. Stop.
You love the game, baby. That's it.
All right, so since we're getting into more controversial topics, let's talk about the interference call that rocked the Jewish softball world yesterday.
Donnie, this trophy's for you, baby, like the cup. This trophy is for Donnie Perlman. It will sit atop my trophy case forever, and I don't even keep these trophies. This will stay, and I'm gonna engrave my own letters. Here it says HSL, whatever it is. I'm gonna write in honor of Donnie Perlman, my boy.
Is there a game ball that you can write it on also?
I actually should do that. I might.
Where'd the game ball go, by the way? Did anybody get the game ball? Ellie, you have the game ball? Who has the game ball?
I don't know. Could be.
As Younger caught the last ball, right? But yeah, we tackled him after that.
He
So
back
The only reason I'm asking is because
yeah,
Glenn Zuckerman on our last podcast two podcasts ago showed us the game ball in the game where the last team to almost beat the Bombers before you guys actually beat the Bombers when we were up, I think, was it 8-1 and we ended up losing 11-10.
Yeah, so here's my take on that call. I don't know what you guys think. If it's the right call or not, maybe it's the right call. It's such an aggressive call in this kind of game. I don't know what you guys think. Dom, who I have a great relationship with, I would never say this to him, and hopefully he's not watching the podcast. I don't really think you need to make that call there. It's funny because Tuvia Blisco was, I messaged Tuvia after Avi filled me in on what happened because Tuvia was
That's Blue Wahoos.
Blue Wahoos. He was on the wrong side of one of these calls like 5 years ago, and he lost the championship on it. So he called it a Dom special. So my take on it is,
No. I mean, we got the alternate angle in late last night, and I mean, it looks like a late slide. I don't know. I don't know if anybody
I think it is a late
wants that in
slide.
softball.
I think it's the right call. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, it's just what it just looked a little late. I mean, nobody's trying to lose ACLs. No one's trying to break legs. We don't like Ruben Tejada plays out here. It's just, I mean, come on. I don't know. I mean, are we going to start throwing at him next time? I don't know. What? It's just not. It's not the look. And you slide down and hard. I did it a few times in this series, going into second base hard. You slide into the base. Yeah, maybe you let your leg hang up before you hit the base, but then you go down into the base. That's it. You're not trying to take anybody out. Nobody's here trying to take anybody out. I don't know.
You think Donnie was trying to take out your second baseman?
I mean, when you slide that late, I mean, it seems that we knew that it was coming. It seems that Dom may have even been informed. You could call it a Dom special, but he may have even known that it was coming. So
that did happen.
So Nenner told me last night. I was texting with him, and he said, I think that Perlman had done that on a previous slide as well.
Yeah, Ari Starwis, our shortstop, actually called out like 2 pitches before and said, Dom, just look out for interference, like knowing it's potentially coming, something like that. Now, maybe he didn't say the words look out for interference, but look out for the slide. So let's touch on this. Okay, this is my take. There was a play a couple innings before. Abish actually slid, and shout out to Abish. The guy toughened out a couple injuries, and I hope he feels better. And there's a really good baseball player.
Abish actually commented to me after the game as he's walking off. He's like, "This is it for me, Avi."
I know.
He
did say that, but don't
movies.
worry about it. We've all said those words. He'll be back, and but hopefully he feels better and gets better quick. He had a play that he slid in the right play. He slid a couple of feet before. Actually took out Shmuel from making the throw. It was a great slide. No interference, no call. Now, hey, listen, guys like me don't know these plays. I'm never at the second base quick enough, so I never really had these issues. Even though I tell Ellie you can't teach speed, it's something you just can't teach. But at the end of the day, it was we looked at 4 different angles, but forget the video replay. Just Dom's making the call not on a video replay. He's making the call in person. Okay, in person, you slide very close to the base. Well, pretty much he was at second base and slid very high up, not just to take you out of the play that you can't make the throw, but to take you out of the play. I get it. It's a championship game. You should be sliding. You should be going in hard every single play. I get it. But end of the day, Ellie touched upon it. We don't want any major injuries. You know, you take out a guy's ACL or whatever it is for no reason. And to get Shmuel Gestetner, who's a strong, big boy, okay? One of the strongest players in this league, I can tell you that. And to get him in the air like that, that's not a typical MLB slide. It's not. It just isn't. And the play just looked so rough. Shmuel, as a veteran, tried to actually still attempt a throw, even as he's in the air. And it just looked bad from the start. Dom's been around baseball. He's been around a lot of Jewish softball, a lot of softball, a lot of baseball. I'm not saying I agree with a lot of his calls, but he was right there. He was right in front of the plate. It's not like he was behind home plate and made that call. He called it right there. And what he saw in person is what we all pretty much saw live, is that it just looked very bad, like a real call for interference. And he called it. And that's the play, and live with it. At the end of the day, you know, like, what are we're going to call about one big play? He got out at second. If he doesn't go all hard like that, Adam still doesn't score from third. So it's first and third, 2 outs. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. That was not the game in any way possible, okay? That was not the game. There was way more baseball to be played, and they had their opportunities. You know, Shuey came, hit a rocket in the hole. Thank God I was able to make that play. We held the runner. The next one was right next to Ari.
One second, I don't think that made it to.
It didn't make the status. It didn't. I went because I was so hyped about the controversial play that happened next.
Yeah,
I was looking so forward to that. I didn't get so
that was a game-changing play.
To catch you up, right on third, nobody out. Shuey hit a bullet that took a wicked hop, a much nastier hop than the play to third that ended up giving King Ventures the lead. And on his knees, Archie made a phenomenal play with his glove, like up like this, and then basically looked him back and threw him out from his knees to hold the runner at third.
Stared him in the eyes. Told him no.
Stared at him in the eye.
You don't go.
Stared him in the eye. Adam commented to me, he says, "Wow, we really stared each other deep in the eyes."
Wait, who hit it? Adam or Shuey?
Shuey.
Adam was on third base. Shuey hit it.
Yeah. You should know about Adam and Shuey's parents.
You looked him back with your eyes, throw to first, and so you got Shuey at first.
Yes.
Next guy walks.
Wait, but 1 second. I thought it was. Oh, the next guy walks. And then okay.
Donnie walked. Yeah.
You stared him back.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Some intense dueling action going on at third base.
Yeah.
So arguably Archie is the MVP of the game and the season based on that play.
No. If you want to talk, that's a big question. You want to talk MVP? So
playoffs and regular season.
Okay. I'll go playoffs first because it's on top of my mind. And this is not a knock on anyone else that, like a Kaufman or anyone else who pitched great games, Ash or anyone else. But I'm going to say this, and it's not even natural when it comes out of my mouth. But Ezzy Younger is the MVP of the playoff. He is. It's not natural. It doesn't come out right even when I say the words. And Ezzy knows it because we always have to berate the guy. But the guy just played a gold glove defense. Honestly, every fly ball was like Ezzy screaming, I got it. He was scooping everything up, and he had some big hits in the semifinal games. In the second game, he had a huge hit for us of Steve with the bases loaded after striking out a few innings before. Not a lot of guys fight off that, going to the next at-bat. So Ezzy played one hell of a playoffs, and like underrated MVP, like sort of like that David Freese coming random, like just out of the blue and just played out of his mind. And like, just came with like the biggest at bats and fielding. And I don't think anyone else stood out like Ezzy this playoffs or championship. Am I right? He plays like center or right.
Didn't he catch that ball to end? He made the final out. No.
Yes, he did. And by the way,
that was trouble.
That ball was traveling. Yeah. And Yankee had a beat, but he would have to make it a very tough catch. And that could have been a walk-off if Ezzy doesn't get to the ball. That's a walk-off.
I thought that's a game winner. If you tell my voice and the highlight, I thought that's Jack. Also, because Jack Ross, the lefty, that was more towards center than to right.
Wait, what was the scenario, Avi? Can you paint it?
Bases low. It was what, first and third, or
First and
two
third.
outs.
First and third with
Jack
2
Ross to the plate. What? Second and first and third, right?
think
It
so.
was,
First and third, 2 outs. Unless it was bases loaded. It wasn't bases loaded. It wasn't
No.
bases
Wasn't
loaded.
bases
First and third,
loaded.
2 outs.
Yeah.
Jack Ross to the plate. I think he was behind the count, 0-1. And then Kaufman threw him a changeup, which
First and third.
I don't know if it had spin on it or not, but it was. I personally don't think it was the best pitch. It was over the middle, away, soft pitch. It could be had spin on it. I couldn't tell. And in that case, it was a great pitch. And Jack just missed it. He drove it, but had a little too much air on it, and it allowed Ezzy Younger to, basically get under the ball ran back a little bit. It wasn't a super hard catch, but it wasn't like your typical right center down the right field line where Jack, these big lefties, hit the ball. He drove it to like dead center field. It was definitely scary.
That was hit far. And it's funny, most of the day the wind was not letting balls travel. There was nothing that at that time. And that ball flew, and like you said, it was a hard angle for Yankee. He was playing the left center position there because we played him forward across, not typical for a regular lefty, but Jack can go all ways. Yeah. And it was tailing.
Oh, we lost you, Archie. Tailing what?
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
Yeah. No, it would have been a Willie Mays over-the-shoulder catch for Yankee at best. So Ezzy coming over from all the way there to track that ball down, and I'm telling you, Ezzy he was MVP of the playoffs and championship, MVP of the season. I guess you just like put all 3 pitchers together and let them share the trophy, like Kurt Schilling, Randy Johnson back in the day, like that type.
It's funny you mentioned that because when I was hearing about I don't know how well you remember the 2001 World Series. I felt like your guys.
My favorite. As a Blue Jay fan, there's not too many moments we cheer for our own team. So we cheer more for the Yankees to lose. Okay? When Mariano blew that was like, I went into school with a couple of Yankee fans, like, it was like a championship for us. That's what that was.
Your guys' comeback had similar vibes, and you also knocked off the Bombers,
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
That
like
was
04 Boston. Like, do you know what that meant? Do you know what that meant for Blue Jay fans? We enjoyed that more than the Red Sox fans. So yeah, but sorry, I interrupted you there talking about the Shilling Johnson thing.
Yeah. No, it's funny that you mentioned them because I was thinking that your comeback had those kind of vibes. A little single here, a little single there. All
yes.
You're facing a dominant closer, so to speak, in Pollen, and.
You can't have the approach against Steve Pollen to get around, to get a hold of one and hit one out of here is the wrong approach with Steve Pollen. He throws darts, and it's not like he just puts it right down the middle straight every time. It's around the strike zone every time with a bullet. A lot of times it rises a little bit on you, and it's coming in from like into the out, and it's very hard to really turn on him. It is hard. So I think that's the wrong approach. So
Steve threw one pitch to Ellie Raice.
Singles, that's really their approach. I go with that approach. I didn't have a lot of success over the last couple of games, but with Steve, I've had success just with that approach. Just let his speed do the talking and just try to barrel it somewhere. That's it.
Ellie had a great series. Steve had one pitch to Ellie Raice that started on like the inside off the plate and came back onto the inside corner on a 2-strike pitch. It was one of the it was like a super. Yeah. I mean, Ellie, you could speak on it. It was a tremendous pitch. And Ellie, you popped out the second or something?
It popped out the shallow center. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not even sure how I got to it, but I was able to somehow. Just didn't cleanly level it up. But I mean, yeah, he was. He's got good movement. He can bore it on the righties. He can move it towards the outer half. And I mean, you got to give Joe some credit. Joe's all over the plate over there, not letting anything, really giving the benefit of the doubt over there with the some people are calling those 6 inches off the plate strikes, and
Joe's phenomenal. Dude,
like in game one.
I don't know if you guys
but whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to talk.
We don't want to talk about game one. But it happened.
I don't know if you guys know, but Dom was messaging me the whole day, Erev Yontif, after Yontif, Thursday, Friday. Well, not for Friday, Saturday night. He was saying, Joe's not available because of Father's Day, and I'm not available. I might have Mark do the plate, and I might have Bob. Bob is the guy who did the Monday night game a few weeks ago that created the chaos. And I was freaking out, and I'm like, Joe, Dom, like at least get me Doug or some other, Jose, who's like okay. And I'm pulling up to the game. I'm like, I was really nervous that Game 3 is going to turn into a fist fight. And I see Dom and Joe just standing there talking. I'm like, what the heck you guys doing there? It's like, no, I was just playing with you, man. You think I'll miss the effing game and just get through the entire championships? Of course we're here. You gotta get the. And I was like, oh my god. Like,
By
I
the
was
way,
freaking
once you're bringing up Joe, I want to just talk about Joe for a second
He's
because
a legend.
I think he's the best ump in baseball. I think he's Angel Hernandez should take a couple pages out of his book. He could be trained by him. Joe's a great ump. And by the way, it's not to knock Dom. Dom's a great ump. He can be controversial at times. You cannot agree with his calls. But one thing I give credit to Dom over the years, he's stubborn. He sticks to it. So you ain't going to get him to give in and say that he was wrong. So that's one thing with Dom. So Donnie, Shia, all you guys, it's a shout out. Give it up. He ain't going to give in and change his mind and tell you he was wrong. So that's one. But Joe happens to be such an incredible ump. He gets out and looks at plays. And Koenig was coaching third base when they were the hitting team. Early on in the game, there was, to me, a very controversial hit. I don't know, it maybe painted an ounce of chalk. And I probably saw it, to be honest. And right away I said, foul, and Joe said, fair ball. And Koenig and I are arguing for the last 5 minutes. Koenig, stop being so biased. Everything on your team's always, Koenig. The guy is such a scam. He does anything irking umps, getting under their skin and just trying to get under my skin and just sitting there for 5 minutes handling why that ball is a fair ball. Koenig, enough. I saw it hit chalk. I agree it's a fair ball. I ain't going to say it's a fair ball. It's just the way the game works, okay? And I went over to Joe. I'm like, Joe, after the inning, I said, Joe, I just want to say something. Sick call that it was a fair ball. But how do you see it? It was like an ounce of chalk. An ounce of, which, by the way, most fields don't have. Shout out to the field. That chalk on it, you get to see it. If that's North Woodmere, he's probably calling foul ball because it didn't touch the base. Maybe skimmed over it, but that's it. And I'm like, Joe, how do you? He's like, hey, I go out. I saw it. I looked at it. So I want to give a shout out to Joe. The guy made some incredible calls, and I'll never argue his calls. I really think, and the reason why they're human, they can't make perfect calls, but any guy that hustles out to go see the play and just, hey, gives it his best, I stick with it. And you got to just go with the call. That's why, same thing with Dom at second base. He was there. He was on top of the play. You got to give them the call, and that's it. You can't. It bothers me the most when the guy's behind home plate and says this second base when the guy did not see it. Then he'll answer, "Oh, you should have not left that early." Stop. Go out, make the call, see it. Joe does that. I think he's the best ump in baseball. He hustles. He's friendly. He's a great ump. I got to give it to him. I was trying to scream foul ball. I was taught as a kid, whoever says the call first gets usually the play, gets the call. So I was taught right away, if there's a play, you scream safe, you get the safe call. And shout out to Joe. I called foul. He said fair ball. So,
you know, an ump is determined when I get a message from Dom 20 minutes after the game saying Joe requests all game footage. He wants to go over what he got right and what he got wrong.
No way! Wow.
Yeah. So I forwarded it to Dom, who was in a sense Joe. 2 notes on that play at second, by the way. I want to be very clear. I'm obviously in the middle on this. I can't. I honestly don't know. I based on the second angle, I'll say 2 things. First of all, it looked like Joe, right after that slide, it looked like Joe was going to call him out also, but he deferred to Dom because Dom was at second. If that second angle, you'll see Joe, the second after that slide came out, Joe stepped out from home plate, looked at second as if he was about to confirm with Dom. It seemed like Joe wanted to make the call, but he didn't feel like he was the person to make it because Dom was there. Secondly, I'll say from that second angle, whether or not he slid into the base or into the man, I just think it's the late slide. I think he went into his slide way too late, and he couldn't have. He went into the slide at a point where he couldn't have possibly not gone into the legs of Gestetner. If he goes into the slide, 2 feet earlier, and his slide carries him, Gestetner's on the base, so his slide carries him into the base, and then automatically through Gestetner. That's one thing. I think he may have gone into the slide a little bit too late. I do hear the frustration of the Bombers.
I get it.
What do you have been saying?
I would be
I hear it a little
on their
bit.
side too. I would.
I'll also tell you that it clearly impacted the throw, which is another reason to make the call.
Sure.
A lot of times you have these plays that don't necessarily impact anything, but that's the rule of the game, so I'm just going to make the call. Let's say in basketball, right? A guy drives for a layup and 2 seconds to go, down 1, and the guy nips his elbow or shoulder, and they make the foul call, and had no relevance on the play. Everyone argues, what are you doing? This one clearly, impacted the play. Gestetner doesn't throw the ball 20 feet over the guy's head if he doesn't get slid.
Correct. And that's why I touch upon the play before, a couple innings before with Abish. When he slid, he took out Shmuel too. But he slid early, came in, took out Shmuel as he's trying to throw, and Shmuel just held it. But it was a very clean play of sliding early enough taking him out. This play was Shmuel's there, and he just went right into him, like just way ttoo late. And again, when you see Shmuel in the air, that means something. That means
Right.
something.
Guys, we got to wrap in a few minutes. I have a few final questions. First of all, Ellie, I've noticed that it's very hard to impress you. Different names come up, and you're like,
No,
he's
it's not
okay, he's okay. The only compliment you paid so far was to Joe the umpire, and he doesn't even play. So the question is, who has impressed you in your 10, 12 games in the HSL, whatever it might be?
Well, listen, I mean, batting champ Glenn, there's no question about it. We couldn't get him out all series. No, but there's a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of really good talent. I think Long Island's got a lot of talent in softball. It's my first year really playing in Long Island, so it's big. I mean,
I told Ellie, I just wanted to go on touching Ellie quickly, is that Ellie, for a guy who's such a baseball player and appreciates the game of baseball for a younger guy, it's like almost a shame he didn't get to play with a lot of the guys he's playing with now 7-8 years ago, when so many of these guys were still playing in their primes or end of their primes, but with like a chip on their shoulder that they still had it. And like he would have just loved the competitiveness and the talent to play with these guys. One thing though, like he can probably, I'm speaking for Ellie here, which I showed him, but like you can enjoy when you play in this league is when you play teams like the Bombers, maybe not some of the other teams, but at least like the Bombers, always playing in the night league with us. You get to see guys that just know the game of baseball, and that's something it's just so awesome. And people always say, "Oh, you play softball? What's softball?" People don't appreciate how great this game is when you play with a group of talented baseball players. It's amazing.
How old are you, Ellie?
I'm 26.
26. Okay, got it. So about 7 years.
Ellie also plays in every single softball league there is imaginable.
Not quite. I
Does
was
he
asking
play
Glenn
in,
after the game. He said, I heard there's a great next softball league I might have to get involved in.
Next
Ellie
question.
plays in Lakewood, Five Towns, West Hempstead, and of course he lives in plays in the MSL. Ellie, you could give Ellie, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the MSL broadcast they could tune into every night? You could plug them in a little bit. Why don't you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, we broadcast the games on Twitch. I mean, it's just good fun, good times, just chill. I mean, it's fun. I think all leagues should start doing it.
What's your title? Are you the official broadcaster of the MSL? Do you have a more chashuv title?
Yeah,
Can you also rake the field?
I started showing up to the games with beer and the koozie, like one of these, and I'm just there and I talk to the camera, and now I'm the broadcaster.
If you're wondering why Ellie can't recall the plays like some of us, it's because most kids is under the influence.
All right,
Some of the
next
stuff.
question.
There's only 2-3 guys that I know can play as well as Ellie under the influence. It's Ellie Raice and every other Itzkowitz player. That's it. That's it. Penny Itzkowitz, Yankee Itzkowitz. I've seen Penny Itzkowitz play a flag football championship game. Wasted. There's not too many guys that can play that. And Ellie,
Where does Chesky
holds his own.
Itzkowitz come in there? Because Chesky Itzkowitz is currently in the championships in the Legacy League.
You read us
The
at
crew.
Dyrus.
Legacy
The crew.
league,
He's
man.
in the
You
Legacy
read
League
us at
championship.
Dyrus. You guys don't know what Yankee and Penny were in their primes. You read us at Dyrus.
Yeah, Penny's with me in what's it called in Lakewood.
It's
LBA?
what my brother
We
Morty.
don't talk about LBA
It's what
on
my
the
brother
podcast,
Morty
though.
says about me when I play the game.
You read it.
We'll never match up to previous generations.
Dave, you heard what Ellie Ray said? You heard the word that came out of his mouth?
No,
I didn't say. I said
What'd you
Lakewood.
Oh, he said Lakewood.
Lakewood. So speaking of Lakewood, what areas of improvement for the HSL do you guys suggest?
Better teams, more competitive teams. It's just the reality. I'm trying to understand why there's not a lot of good young softball players. We talked about it all season. I think a lot of it's more into flag football or other sports that are more exciting. I'm watching some of these kids. There's some athletes out there that I wish I was athletic as them. I mean, I'll take myself over them any day with my hands and my whatever it is. But these guys are super athletic, and just softball maybe just not a popular sport because you're seeing these guys and you're like, someone just don't know the basic fundamentals of the game. And like, even if we ever go down to a team like that, it's like, let them make a mistake. It's going to come anyways. And it does come, and we take advantage and win. It reminds me of myself a little when I was playing. We used to play the Lobos, and it was like the Lobos could have been trailing 8-0. They didn't care. Let them make a mistake. Next, it's 10-8. I'm telling you, we had that with them. It's just like some of these teams, I look at it like, where's the influx of young baseball players that can hit a ball anywhere they want, hit any type of pitching, make the right plays? Hey, everyone makes errors, we all do, but like just overall to play the game right, throw the ball to the right guys, this, that. I wish there's more of that. I hope there is going to be. I know it was not long ago, and I probably still am considered to many of the players here one of the younger ones, but I already consider myself one of the older ones, which is sad. But I don't know. I would hope that there's more young players. That
Archie,
make
are
this
you
league
familiar?
So
Are you familiar with the Robins?
Of course.
Cohen?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about the Robins coming to the Titan League next year? If you want that to happen, you don't want that to happen. Any thoughts on that?
As Liam Neeson says, good luck.
All right, last question for you guys. Kind of wondering. Speaking of good teams.
Whoa, wait, hey, hold up. Let's let Ellie Raice, which you proclaim to not give out too many compliments, criticize the HSL a little bit. No.
Nah, listen, I'm not a big criticizer of leagues, I mean, especially a league like it's tough when you have such a spread out situation. I mean, some fields are in Queens, we're playing in Long Island, we're playing in West Hempstead. It's a different situation. It's not like home base is here and this is where everything happens. So,
right. It's funny. Most leagues of this size has either one field or has many fields right next to each other.
Right.
It's very hard in the city areas to find those type of things, whether it's in the Five Towns or Queens or even West Hempstead. There isn't really anything like that.
Even Muncie,
especially on Sunday morning.
Cunningham, but it's all booked up, Avi.
That's true. Right.
Listen, I think leagues can be successful when they see the intensity from up top from the commissioners. Avi, you brought something to the league. I think you revamped it, and it's going to grow from here. I look at Sammy Sutton. I've always loved the guy. The guy, there's nothing like him. He sat there, broadcasted behind Batcatcher every single game as the commissioner. These things add to the league. I'm not personally to the stats whole thing. For some people that are, maybe add that to it as well. And maybe give out awards, whatever it is.
Archie,
fine,
we do already have stats incorporated into the HSL. It's King Ventures didn't necessarily want to take part. That's all.
I hear. Okay, fine, whatever, fine. Again, for some people that are into it, good. Kolkovo, no problem. But I think like this stuff, when you see that element added to baseball, maybe it makes it more exciting for a lot of people to really, the younger players, to get more into it and become better baseball players. When I was here and I thought I was a great player coming from Israel, winning 3 consecutive championships and as considered one of the better hitters, I came here and I was like, welcome to a whole new world. Schreiber, Yehuda Koenig, Steve Pollan, zipping balls all in, risers, this, that. Then you had hitters like Tzvi Weil, Usher Ingber's, outfielders like Shia Weiss and Yaakov Rekant and whatever. It's like good luck finding a hole. So you know what I did? I went to the cages here. We're lucky we have the Rockaway cages here. I went to the cages 4 times a week to learn how to hit line drives, corner to corner. And there was a time 5-6 years ago I thought to myself, I made myself a very dangerous hitter because I can go to right field any time of the at-bat, or I can go down the line. And instead of thinking you're going to hit a home run over, there's no fences, these 4 outfielders, you're playing with a soft clincher. What damage do you think you're going to do with an outfielder like Shia Weiss out there? What do you think you're going to do? So you got to learn the game, practice, get better, learn how to go all ways, learn how, hey, man on third, 1 out, go the other way, even a ground ball you scored that guy in. So just the basics of the game, younger players have to learn. It's not just about, let me try to hit a home run. You ain't going to get a home run off Ash and hit it 300 feet, my friend. It ain't going to happen. So you learn the game, learn how to go all ways, and just and learn the game of softball, because I think people should appreciate the game is an awesome game. Team camaraderie, great fun in the dugout, great chill, great sport where there's a lot of brain and skill to it. I think people should get more into it and learn that. And I think it comes with the commissioners. They bring it up, and people should have the chip on the shoulder to competitiveness. You want to be the better player.
I agree. And that's why I'm pushing the Robins and Ariel Cohen to take that step and come to, like, again, I'll say it again, I don't understand. I would, as a player, so much rather compete in a league with players that are so much more talented than me and lose than play in a league with players that are so much less talented than me and win. It boggles my mind. I don't get it. And hopefully the Robins will, not hopefully, but we'll be seeing the Robins in the Titan League next year.
And it's like, people should get into it now, because when you're 33, you ain't going to be playing flag football at a level the 20-year-olds will. I guarantee you, my friend. Shout out to myself when I took the LBA championship down last minute Super Bowl. But let me tell you something. That was fun and all. I haven't picked up a football ever since. It's hard when you get older and the kids and the this and that. So I advise a lot of the young guys, pick up the game of softball now, so it's easy for you when you're still in your 30s and playing it. And you're looking at Svi Wild, Glenn, guys who are older and they're still at the top of their games, and elite players and respected and feared. You won't get that in any other sport at 40 years old, I guarantee you.
So last question for you guys before we got to hop off. There's rumors that King Diamondstein is moving
To Florida.
To Florida. Who's taking over the helm of King Ventures?
Dave, was that public yet?
I don't know. Now it is.
Okay. Simple answer. Ellie, tell him. The New York Yankees will always be the New York Yankees. Whether Steinbrenner, when George Steinbrenner left, the New York Yankees actually haven't really won since. But happens to be, the Yankees will always be the Yankees. Our team, we hope Menachem stays and is running it. It wouldn't shock me if he's still running it from Florida and not playing. And flew in for the championship game.
When I spoke about Menachem,
at the same time, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
You need a leader, though, don't you?
What do you say?
I think you still need a leader.
What did you just say?
A team needs a captain, no?
Theoretically.
What's so funny?
I'm trying to be as blunt as possible without saying the words. You're staring at the captain. What are you thinking?
Archie, chas v'shalom, I didn't mean you need a leader. I meant a team needs a leader.
You should know, by the way, I was speaking to Menachem about this, and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, but I don't know if I'm actually going to be there. Maybe just the weekends. I think I'll probably be back in New York during the weekdays.
Oh, really?
He's like, maybe I'll come back, fly back Saturday nights or fly back Sunday mornings or whatever. Like, he was like, no, I'll probably still be around. I think about maybe I'll be there for the weekends or something. Like, he was very,
Listen, back in the day, just to prove to Mr. Lobo, a special person, just to prove to him, I used to drive upstate Sunday mornings just to play in one game, just to prove to myself and to those players and to Mr. Lobo that I.
Ooh. Now you're good.
No, I lost you. To prove to Mr. Lobo?
I would have proved to Mr. Lobo that I can play with the best of them. I drove up 2.5 hours each way just to play one game, and I went back home. That's it.
Is Mr. Lobo an actual person?
Of course.
He passed away a bunch of years. Mr. Lobo was, you would tell him, Archie.
Silver. By the way, we can spend the whole podcast talking about him, and I'm not worthy to talk about him. I didn't know him long enough, except for he scouted me. He basically said, "Who's the guy that beat up on my Lobo baseball team in Israel?" And I'm not joking. He found out. He called me and said, excuse me, how dare you do what you did to the Lobos? We dismantled the Lobo team 24-3, 23-4, I forgot, something like that, with Yankee and Co. And I told him, listen, we're the new sheriffs in town, my friend. And he says, instantly, the guy loves to win. He loved to win. There was nothing like it. He says, can I be your sponsor? I said, all day long, I just have one request. When we win the championship, I'm going to call you, and I want you to sponsor Cafe Ramon. At that time, that was the place to go. I don't know what it is today or what the Hechsher is, but back then that was the place. And he said, we have a deal. He says, I like also the confidence. I said, yep, we will be calling you. A few months later, we won the championship, called him Cafe Ramon, put his money where his mouth is, gave him the credit card number, and we ran up that bill like you've never seen. You have no idea. And I came back from Israel. He said right away, who do you play for? Blah, blah, blah. I want you playing for me upstate. And we have the most stacked team already. But the guy was a competitor, and he got so much pleasure from sports. It was amazing, but not take away. His number one thing was chesed. This guy was a Baal chesed. People don't even know. I'm telling you, people don't even know. You want to get into by the way, you should have a podcast about him. A session all about him. I'm telling you, bring on guys like Tzvi Weil and other guys like Hoffman. I forgot his first name, the shortstop. Matti Hoffman. Bring on guys like him who've played with him for years and know him. And I'm telling you, they can share stories from chesed, from sports.
We actually,
you should make a thing dedicated to that guy.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm learning about it. We're going to try to do different special podcasts. Like some of the Bombers, old timers want to do one. This is a good topic too. Somebody else suggested doing a pitching roundtable might be fun for
Yeah,
people. So this sounds
that's
like
great.
a special topic for us to do.
For
All
sure.
right.
Totally.
Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Archie, I had
For
heard you
sure.
were a great hitter. I didn't know you were wildly entertaining as well.
Oh, yeah.
That part of your
This is
reputation didn't proceed.
this was I was actually really testing myself how good I could be on a podcast and how long I can talk for, because one of my fantasies is to actually have a podcast all about sports gambling. It's been one of my things, and it will happen. And
It
when
will.
it do happen, I'll bring you guys on to be guests as well. But yeah. There's nothing like talking sports, nothing like talking baseball. There really isn't. There really isn't. You don't even know the therapy sessions I give Leaf fans after we lose every year. You don't even know. I could go
You know,
all
he
day
does know.
long.
Archie, he does know because Dave himself is a therapist, so he actually would understand the therapy session.
Yeah.
No, but no therapist is licensed and trained enough for the failure for Leaf fans. You don't even know what we go through. You don't know.
Stuff.
You don't know. Yeah.
Ellie, thanks
Yeah.
for coming on. Also, congrats on your championship.
Thanks,
for
Ellie.
having me.
Don
Thanks, guys.
Perlman for you, baby. Dom,
Also,
we owe you one.
Before we go, I have to give a shout out, and I would be remiss if I didn't. Avi Nenner had a tremendous hit, by the way, in that last inning, which really set the table. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now with King Ventures. Run on first, one out, fastball down and drove it into right center. And I'm pretty sure Archie had something to do with that as well. You know, he told me Archie might have. Was it Archie? Was it you? Or was it Kaufman?
He told me it was Kaufman.
Kaufman. Someone came over. I think Kaufman came over to him and said, "Avi, you've been hitting it hard on the nose all day. Just keep that swing level, and you'll get to him." And he set the table.
Me.
Oh, it's you?
Stay with the approach. When a guy's hitting the ball hard, I was taught that myself from older veterans as well. When you're hitting the ball hard and you're not finding luck, you stick to it. They find holes. I told Avi, you hit him so well all game. Bring it. One thing about Avi Nenner, to give him credit, the guy's a wild card player. You can get frustrated with him, but he's a wild card player. And
We lost you.
wild cards bring that energy. They're like little engines. You don't underestimate them. Ellie Raice is an engine, not so much a wild card, a little more steady. Avi's a little bit more of a wild card. He can get a little cute with the bases. But at the end of the day, he's a wild card. The wild card guys bring that excitement, that certain energy. You know those fan favorite players on teams? Those are the same guys that get you into your team. When they score a goal, when they drop the gloves, that's Avi Nenner for you. That hit was massive.
Yeah, I got us going.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got to bounce. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
No problem. Pleasure.